Welcome to the 235th episode of the Jami Dulaney Plant-Based Wellness Podcast. My name is Jami Dulaney, and I'm your host. I'm a plant-based cardiologist and endurance athlete living in Southwest Florida. Welcome. I hope you all had a very plant-strong Thanksgiving. I hope your family members that were on the fence about being plant-based are now plant-based. And this episode, we're going to give you some more reasons why to be plant-based and how to continue to be healthy throughout this holiday season, which can be known as eating season. So I am less than a week away from the California International Marathon in Sacramento. It's this Sunday. Can't wait. I'm ready to go. I had a good training week. I did about 52 miles last week, so I'm tapering this week into the race. So really happy about how things are going. I'm going to give a shout out prematurely to my coach Wes Judd out in California, who's been helping me get over my fear of running fast and is pushing me to some new limits. So I hope that I'll be able to hang on during the marathon and make him proud. But we're going to keep at it, and we're going to get there regardless of how it goes. But we're going to think positive. I feel ready to go. Can't wait to get to California. This past weekend, I was with my favorite registered dietitian, Addie Dulaney Meinerich, and her husband in Houston. We celebrated Thanksgiving there with their fur babies, and it is the last Thanksgiving that Addie won't have any children. Addie and Nathan are expecting their first child, so we're all excited about that. And we had a great time cooking. The doctor, the diva, and the dietitian were all in the kitchen at the same time, and nobody got in a fight, so that was pretty awesome. And I'd like to report that we started cooking about 1 o'clock, and by 2 o'clock we had our Thanksgiving meal on the table. And that included the Diva's famous lima beans, sweet potatoes, white potatoes with garlic and mushroom gravy. We had a bok choy salad with pomegranate and orange. We had Little Vanna's, we call the Diva Little Vanna early on in our nutrition class because she helps me out and she's little. But anyway, we had my mother's stuffing balls as well. We did pumpkin pie. And we had a field roast. That was our indulgence for the Thanksgiving holiday. Addie, Michael, and I ran the Pearland 10K turkey trot, so that was very cool. We had a good time running around the area beforehand. It was interesting. They had over 700 people running that particular turkey trot. They did a 5K and a 10K. They did feed people after, but it wasn't too bad. They actually had a salad company that was giving away some salads in a cup. They had some fruit. They did have a little taco bar there that they had, but I noticed that they did have some bean tacos. Personally, I don't think there is much need to eat afterward. If you're doing a turkey trot to kind of get ready for the overindulgence that most people do during Thanksgiving, probably didn't need to eat right after a 5K or a 10K, but nevertheless, it was there. It wasn't a whole lot of food, so that was good. They had water and things, so a lot of families out, which made it very, very nice. But there's still this idea that if you run, you have to eat immediately after or something bad's going to happen, and that's not true. It would be great to go into, especially a big meal, a little bit more on the hungry side, but nevertheless, we participated and had a great time. This is the time of the year where people start to really have trouble keeping true to their nutrition. Some people just decide to ignore nutrition until the first of the year, and that can be really, really bad news. As I said last week, there's a lot of heart failure that occurs over these holidays because people get into very salty, fatty foods. Increased oil causes vasoconstriction, decreased blood flow. People tend to be sitting around. So I hope everybody got out there and did their 10K or 5K before they had their Thanksgiving dinner. I hope you enjoyed it with your family. I hope you stay true to plant-based nutrition. Again, you can have wonderful vegetables. Oh, I forgot to say we also had cranberry salad. I was going to forget something. But you can have wonderful array of vegetables for our holidays, and our food was delicious. It was colorful. It was plentiful, And we ate, I have to say, I ate more than I should have, but not miserably so, like the old past Thanksgiving. So, I hope that you all enjoyed a plant strong Thanksgiving. If you look at what the average American consumes over Thanksgiving Day, can be somewhere around 4,000 to 4,500 calories. So that, is easily, 3,500 calories is a pound. So you can gain, a good pound or more on that day, depending on what else you had besides Thanksgiving dinner or in addition to. Not to mention the 5 to 8 grams of sodium that you can consume. So you can really get into nutritional trouble on this one day. So how do you make up for it? Some people say, well, I'm going to do what I want on that day. Well, again, running that 5K would have burned, perhaps 300 calories, the 10K, 600 calories, nowhere near the 4,500 calories that people ingest for the dinner, especially if you went and ate after you had, you ran your race. So basically it would take, a deficit of 500 to 600 calories for the next several days to get that extra pound of food off. So how many people did that? Because most people, either they go shopping and then they get into junk food while they're out shopping, or they continue to eat those awful leftovers for the rest of the weekend. And so that high calorie consumption continues for the next 3 or 4 days. So it might have went into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So instead of taking about 7 days to get those extra calories off, even, at burning an additional 500 to 600 a day, it could take up to 2 weeks if you just concentrated on undoing what was done on Thanksgiving Day and a couple days afterwards. So how do you get rid of 500 to 600 calories a day? It's not really easy. Again, that would mean running a 10K every day. To try to help with that, as well as decreasing intake. But again, if people are overeating, they still may not have, made up for that. And then, this doesn't take into account all these holiday parties that are, starting. So you really have to be careful. It starts to sneak up very, very, very quickly. In my practice, we keep really close contact with our diabetics who want to get off insulin. And they will email me or text me in the morning with the glucoses from the night before and the morning of. And I have to say that some of them went off the radar for the holidays, which is a little disappointing because I'm waiting for that text every morning. Some didn't, but some did. And, it's anybody that out there that checks their glucose, it doesn't take but a few seconds to check your glucose. And I think it keeps you honest. So, if you're out there and you're trying to struggle through the holidays and you're a diabetic, check your glucose. Check your glucose before your meals to make sure that you're getting your glucose down before you go on to the next meal. And if you're not, you need to plan accordingly with decreased intake or increased activity to try to, make sure everything's okay and that things aren't getting out of hand. Because, again, diabetes is caused by fat blocking the uptake of glucose into the muscle cell, and fat blocking the uptake of glucose into the liver. So if you already have that problem, but then you eat a high-fat diet, you're going to make that worse for a period of time until that sort of settles out. So your body is somewhat, you're not getting that glucose into your cell. It's just riding. So your blood has more fat in it. It has more glucose in it. It has more insulin in it. The insulin causes the release of inflammatory factors. So, it can be a highly inflamed state for several days. So think about that. And if you keep a calendar or you keep a diary with your glucose, it kind of helps you keep on track. So, hold yourself accountable and, keep going through the holidays. And again, you can enjoy yourself with good food, just not fatty, standard American diet, high salt food. I think it's really important with the holiday parties that are coming up is, make yourself a list and declare certain foods off limits. You know how cookies are made with butter and sugar. So if they're not, there's not a plant-based dessert, then you know it's going to have sugar, butter, and eggs. So those things are off limit because you're just really, really setting yourself back. Make some desserts, I'll do a plug for our cookbook. We have banana bread and black bean brownie muffins and lemon poppy seed muffins, and there's a cornbread in there. So you can make some desserts and take that. We take our banana bread and we substitute pumpkin for 2 of the bananas, so we end up having a pumpkin bread that's easy to change, that recipe very easy. You can change the fruit in the lemon blueberry poppy seeds muffins. You can put cranberries, make them more festive. The bok choy salad that we make with the pomegranate seeds and the oranges is delicious and also nutritious because bok choy, is one of the nitric oxide producing greens, so it's going to help your blood vessels dilate. So you can have great foods and you can try a bunch of different things and still stay, healthy for the holidays. We traveled back through Houston's Hobby Airport, and you go into airport, you're not knowing what kind of food you're going to get a hold of, and there was a Chinese, stand there, and with the traditional ribs and fried rice and all those kind of things, and the vegetables, even if we want to say they're steamed, usually they're in a chicken broth, usually there's a bunch of oil in them, they've been sitting in there. But we looked to the side and we saw a raw salad bar. So they had Asian salad, which is a bunch of Napa cabbage and lettuce, and they had beets and snap peas and bamboo shoots and water chestnuts and oranges and pineapple and tomatoes. So we were able to get a great salad wrap there in the airport, which was really, really good. They had a ginger dressing, to take on the side, which was really good. So if you get dressings on the side, you can then you can tell what's in them. And again, make sure you're getting plenty of fruit on the way to Houston. We made a salad to go. So I had pasta salad left over, and I put that over a big bed of greens. And I also had microgreens that I wanted to clip before we left. So I put those on top of our salad. So we had, a Tupperware bowl with a big, nice salad, green salad in it. We got there, we got some Thai food. We did the tofu egg sandwich while we were with Addie. That's a hit for everybody. We made the stuffing balls with my grandmother's salt rising bread recipe. So I actually made salt rising bread before we went to Houston, put it in my suitcase. It's a very heavy, dense bread. It makes delicious stuffing balls. So we took that bread and toasted it. We used, like I said, some of the bread to make the tofu egg sandwiches. So we had great food. Addie made pumpkin pancakes one morning. So we had great food while we were there. We ran every day. We did the 10K turkey trot, then we did a 12-miler, then we did a 5-miler around the neighborhood. So plenty of exercise, and we got to go see the University of Houston Cougars play football. So it was a fabulous weekend. But you got to keep moving. You got to keep moving, and you got to plan ahead so you know what's coming. You don't get trapped with, I don't know what to do. A lot of people will tell me in my practice there weren't any options. There wasn't one thing, and that's never really the case. You can always find something. It might not be your favorite choice. It might not be the one you want, but you can always find something. And if it takes a few extra steps, so be it. That's going to help you walking in the airport a little bit, walking someplace to find good food. Don't settle. Don't ever settle when it comes to your nutrition, even during the holidays and during travel, because you're just going to get sick. I see people all the time coming back, getting ill because they haven't got their fruit and their antioxidants in. They come back with their legs swollen because they've gotten too much salt. They're on the airplane. All kinds of different bad things can happen traveling and through the holidays if you just don't pay attention. So, make your plans, plan ahead, have an action plan, and follow through. Now, one of the things I said that we did have was a bok choy salad, which is in the cookbook, but there was fresh pomegranate seeds in there. And if you've not had a pomegranate, they're in season now, so go get one because they actually have 3 times the antioxidants of green tea, or if people think that red wine has a lot of antioxidants, they do, polyphenols, but 3 times in a pomegranate. So they also have vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, along with, these great tannins and antioxidants. So there's a lot of things that pomegranates are actually good for. One of the things is they improve athletic performance. Seeing that the pomegranate seeds are red, perhaps next year the University of Houston will have pregame pomegranate snacks. They could have used a little in the second half when they were playing Navy this week. But nevertheless, it does. Pomegranate juice has been shown to improve athletic performance. There is a act on the gut microbe to improve the immune function, so you're less likely to get sick. These antioxidants called punicalagins and puncidic acid are, again, some of the antioxidants that are very potent in pomegranate seeds. There was a study looking at breast cancer and breast cancer cell survival. And so taking in pomegranate juice was shown to decrease breast cancer cell survival. They were able to measure decrease in these pro-inflammatory cytokines, such as interleukin 2 and 6 and 12, decrease in tumor necrosis factor, decrease in VEGF, which is a growth factor. There's also, it's also been shown that pomegranate juice has been active in decreasing a colon cancer cell growth, prostate cancer cell growth. It decreases the effect of UV rays and helps with decreasing skin cancer recurrence, specifically melanoma. And most of these studies were done on using juice. So, when there is this, theory out there that sugar feeds cancer cells, and we know that unique to all cancer cells, no matter what type of cancer, there's a dysfunction of the mitochondria, and that the mitochondria can no longer use oxygen for glucose metabolism, and so the cancer cell is actually very inefficient at making energy from glucose, and so it's a glucose hog. And that's why MRIs or PET scans to detect if there's been cancer spread uses a radioactive labeled glucose, because cancer cells are very metabolically active, turning over very quickly, and they're gobbling up a lot of glucose even though they can't generate energy from it. So the jump has been made, well, we won't, if you starve the cancer cells don't let them get glucose, then they're more likely to die. But if cancer cells don't have glucose, they can use proteins, they can use fat, they get their cholesterol from the bloodstream. So cancer cells are hypermetabolic, they're active, they're hogs, just like the brain is a glucose hog, and cancer cells are gonna get energy from somewhere. So why not feed the rest of the body so that your immune system is improved, so you can decrease other means of the cancer cells, so decreasing the blood flow to the cancer cells called angiogenesis. So a lot of these fruits have a role where they decrease the blood vessel growth into the tumor cell, which causes the tumor cell to ultimately die. Fruit doesn't have any cholesterol in it. A tumor cell needs cholesterol, so by eating a healthy plant-based diet, you're decreasing cholesterol, so you're decreasing the cholesterol available to the cell, so that's going to improve things. You're decreasing all the inflammatory markers that, again, promote tumor cell growth, promote DNA damage. So, don't be afraid of fruit, and especially pomegranate is one. It's in season right now. Go get a fresh pomegranate and peel it. You can do a YouTube video. There's multiple different ways. Some of my members say it's kind of therapeutic, actually peeling a pomegranate. I usually do a slit, make a cross on top of the pomegranate and peel it and flick out the seeds underwater and then use a colander and put them in a bowl to use with the rest of my fruit. So that's how I get into a pomegranate, but it's very, very good. And again, the juice has shown great benefit. You add the pomegranate seed, you're getting the whole fruit. There's also oils in the pomegranate seed that have a lot of anti-cancer properties, and specifically this part that decreases blood flow or angiogenesis. So that's one way that they work. So eat the whole seed, not just the juice. You get a lot more benefit, and you get the fiber that's going to feed your good gut microbes. So it's all great. There was a study looking at memory, given fruit juice of pomegranates once a day for 4 weeks. They did memory tests as well as did MRI scanners to look at brain function, and they had improved verbal memory as well as increased blood flow on the MRI at 4 weeks. So, again, there's a lot of decreased toxins. We know that dementia is part vascular and part inflammation. And between the neurons, there tends to be an inflammatory component. So simple sugars may feed that and lead to increased inflammation. And certainly decreased blood flow is going to decrease, again, the cell's ability to get nutrients and the mitochondria and utilize energy. So taking in fruit is good. Again, there's a lot of polyphenols. We hear polyphenols when we mention grapes, the same way as in pomegranate seeds, cranberries. So this is a great time of the season. It's pretty on. The pomegranates dress up any dish. Especially look really pretty, with the bok choy and the big green leafy leaves. They're great to garnish sweet potatoes, stuffed pumpkin. So all those, add the color to your plate when you look down. I mean, it was great when we looked down at our plate Thanksgiving, and there was orange and red and sweet potato orange and green and white and mushrooms, and so all different. You want to see all the colors of the rainbow when you're looking down at your plate. Pomegranate cells also have been shown to decrease cardiovascular disease, and it has a lot to do with their ability to decrease oxidation of cells. They're a very potent antioxidants. They actually donate a hydrogen ion to kind of they cause a kind of chelation in the bloodstream. So when you have free radicals released, oxygen species released from various forms of inflammation, the pomegranate is good to grab onto those and decrease the toxicity. And I guarantee if you're peeling a pomegranate and eating the pomegranate seeds, you're not going to overeat. And that's part of the problem with overeating the standard American diet, because you're eating this food that melts in your mouth, and you don't have to chew and you don't have to work to produce it. So when you have to actually make something or peel something or prepare something, you're much less likely to overindulge in it. There was a study done in the American Medical Association and looked at people's weight before 2010 and after, so 2001 to 2009, and then from 2010 to 2019. And there 28% of Americans weigh 200 pounds or more now, and that's up 4% from 2001 to 2009. But besides that, fewer Americans actually consider themselves overweight or obese. And this was a survey done on over 48,000 people. And part of that's because there's so many people that are overweight. We have a new big, our scale in our head, or our ability to look at things. We think what we think is normal now, truly isn't normal. And when people look at weight loss strategies, when they're asked, how would you lose weight? People say, well, try to consume less, exercise more, and drink more water. And we do know that people that are leaner they eat twice as many fruits and vegetables as people that are overweight. But when people say that they're going to decrease what they eat, most of the time people don't have a plan. And most of the time, registered dietitians will tell people to portion control or decrease more, but it's hard to portion control if you don't really understand what you're eating in the first place. Sometimes people try to portion control by not eating anything for long periods of time, so they'll try to go all day without eating, and then they're hungry and they eat all night long, and so they assume because that window is smaller, they're eating less. But again, if you're eating very calorie-dense, soft foods, those calories can really add up in a short period of time. Think Thanksgiving dinner for 4,500 calories. So if you can eat 4,500 calories in one meal, then people can eat in the evening, approach that if they're not cognizant of what they're actually, consuming. So, that's really difficult to say, well, I'm just going to decrease my consumption. And then some people will say, well, I haven't been exercising. And again, that 10K, that 6.2 mile run is about 600 calories. So, now you're getting into the calories when you're exercising to that level that you're burning off daily, a significant amount of calories. But most people that walk 1 or 2 miles, you're not going to actually get enough burn to keep up with overeating. So, and again, not having an exercise plan, or only, we've seemed to have hung on to this 3-day-a-week exercise thing, so people don't get near the exercise. Some people try to fill in or decrease their appetite by increasing their water consumption. That can be, we definitely need to have a good source of water and become hydrated, but your body will let you know. Thirst is a really good way to know how much water to drink. Overindulging in water can actually cause some severe electrolyte abnormalities. So using water as a means not to overconsume can be dangerous. Again, you need to drink till you're or drink till you're not thirsty. Your urine should be clear. But hydration comes in a lot of different forms besides water. It can come in fruits and vegetables as well. And then when we look at exercise, only 5% of the people in a 2008 study met their exercise goals. 8 out of 10 didn't meet their weightlifting goals. The American Heart Association said it should be 2 weightlifting sessions, at least 20 minutes a week, and 150 minutes of cardio a week. So a lot of people don't get that on a regular basis. So you really, again, keep a calendar and put an event on. I think if you put an event on the calendar, it really keeps you honest. I knew I had my marathon coming. I didn't want to get off track. Hire a coach if you need to have, somebody give you workouts so that you have something going. In our practice, we give people exercise plans to keep them going. We have, monthly challenges so that people can work on specific movements to keep doing something every week. So we want to keep people motivated, but you got to have a carrot in front of you. That you're you want to get this accomplished. You want to set a goal that you want to be able to do such and such, and keep that moving on from month to month, week to week, day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. I keep calendars. I write down every day what I do, and I have those calendars I can pull out and look. What did I do from one year to the next? What were my race times? And so it's really motivating to make sure that I'm keeping my activity levels up. So what happens if you get injured? A lot of us are looking for quick fixes to try to get various little niggles fixed, whether it's an Achilles or a fracture or hamstring pull or some sort of tennis elbow or osteoarthritis. We say we can't exercise and we're sidelined. There was a recent study in the New England Journal of Medicine looking at plasma-rich protein infusions. So you take your own blood out, get the plasma cells, infiltrate that, and to help people try to heal quicker. The reality of it is, when it comes to hamstrings, Achilles, bone fractures, ACLs, in a New England Journal of Medicine article, there's no benefit to plasma-rich fluids. There might be some for tennis elbow or some knee osteoarthritis or tendinopathies, but the overall, the best strategy is still strengthening of the affected joint or area. So if you have knee pain, chances are there's a problem with the quadriceps or the hamstrings or alignment or tracking or balance. So, look to those to increase your strength and mobility and flexibility instead of, some quick fix that actually has some downsides and potential benefits. Potential harms. So there's very little risk of exercises in doing good rehab. And when they looked at, the plasma infusions versus exercise versus both of them together, exercise won out for the most part. And sometimes the plasma infusions can actually make things or delay the recovery. There's less scar tissue with active exercise versus the injection of an area. You have to watch out for surgeries. We watch the football. I think that's kind of where it comes from. And professional athletes, that these high-paid athletes can't afford to miss a game. They'll get replaced, or they're costing the franchise a lot of money. So they do operations on these people to get them back. And they'll do just about anything to get them back exercising, whether it's, external fixation if something is broken, immediate surgery on these people. But the reality is there's going to be a lot more scar tissue than if it could have healed naturally. So for us non-athletes, be patient and let time heal it, and let time heal it with active exercise and mobility. You're much better off. I also saw in the American Heart Association meeting here just in the last few weeks that they looked at extreme exercise versus moderate exercise, and actually found that it was very safe to do extreme forms of exercise. So up to 5 hours a day of exercise. So endurance, ultra endurance sports is actually very, very safe. And when you look at cardiovascular deaths or incidents, there was actually less in people that exercised more. And so the ultra endurance athlete actually did better than the people that were just high volume exercisers. There's been some debate in the past whether you could do too much or over exercise, and that's really not true in this very high volume versus extraordinarily high volume. There were only 2 deaths in the extraordinary volume in the 10-year follow-up period versus 43 in the other age group. The mean age of both were 53. There was less hypertension, less high cholesterol. There's no amount of exercise that's too much, especially if you enjoy something. Don't be worried about that. There was a study done a couple years earlier that looked at all-cause mortality and cardiovascular mortality, and this was mainly in men from the Cooper Clinic, because there's a note that people get coronary calcification that are high-volume exercisers over the years, and coronary calcification is thought to be a predictor of cardiovascular disease and significant coronary lesions, and is found not to be the case. The extreme exercisers over time actually had more calcium in their coronaries but had lower cardiovascular deaths. So again, calcium scores, the only thought I have for their use is if doing one of those is going to make people change their lifestyle, then perhaps it's okay to do. But otherwise, it's a tremendous amount of radiation. And I'm going to tell people, whether they have calcium or they don't have calcium, to exercise as much as you can, to eat a whole food plant-based diet, to avoid oil and salt as much as possible, to avoid processed foods, processed sugars. So I'm going to tell people that regardless of their calcium score. So whether they have a normal calcium score or an elevated calcium score, that's going to be my same recommendation. So why would I do a test that's going to result in me not doing anything different? If somebody's not having any chest pain or cardiac symptoms, then we know from other studies that doing an intervention is not going to make them live better or live longer. You can hurt them, especially early up front. So even doing an unnecessary stress test carries some risk. It's minimal, but it does carry some risks. And a stress test with imaging, such as a nuclear stress test, carries with it radiation. So there's things that we don't need. And if we're not going to do something different with the results, then there's no real need to do that test. So back on my bandwagon for not doing unnecessary tests, whether it's cardiovascular tests or any other type of screening test. If it can't make somebody live better or live longer, then why are we doing it? And I'm going to take that one step further with nutrition. If there's some suggestion that a ketogenic diet is going to deprive cancer cells of glucose, but it's also going to provide oil and fat that's going to cause blood vessel constriction. It's going to decrease the fiber intake. It's going to increase the cholesterol levels. Then in the end result, that cannot be good for the patient. So I think we try to pigeonhole this is good, but our body's way too complex to sort things out into macronutrients and micronutrients. I think you need to look at the package. Again, that pomegranate carries fiber and antioxidants and phytonutrients and polyphenols and a whole host of vitamins and even a little bit of protein and even a little bit of oil that has some benefit. So that's a great package. But if you look at something like, an egg, that package with the vitamin A that it carries and the protein that it carries and the zinc and lycopene and the biotin that it carries also comes along with saturated fat and cholesterol and other harmful amino acids that are going to turn on these enzymes that are going to stimulate cancer cell production. So I think, it's very difficult to break, foods down into their part and blame them or make them a yes or a no. Eat whole foods, mainly plants. In my case, I would recommend all plants and fruits and vegetables. Get your fiber, get your hydration, and move as much as possible. I think that's the recipe for success. I'm going to hang on to that whether people have cancer, whether they have cardiovascular disease, whether they have autoimmune disease. We don't know what somebody eating a whole food plant-based diet there's not a civilization that eats, that has eaten over their lifespan a completely whole food plant-based, no sugar, oil, salt added diet. But we're going to have that, and we're going to have that someday in the future. And, I'd like to be part of that group that is experiencing a really colorful, high fiber diet. And, I'm happy to be in that group. I'm happy that my family's in that group, and I'm happy that my members in that group, because we're seeing a tremendous amount of success having people change to a whole food plant-based diet. Their energy is improving, their inflammation is decreasing, their joint pain is decreasing. We're getting people off of insulin, their blood pressure's coming down, their cholesterol's coming down. So we're not seeing any negative effects of it, and we're following a lot of people. And we have control groups, because not everybody does it. There are a lot of people that want to, but they just can't seem to stay on, and so we also have a control group. And I can tell you that the people that aren't staying true to the plant-based diet aren't doing as well as the people that are really sticking to the nutrition. And there's always room for improvement with everybody, so it's a process. And so you continue to improve day by day from where you are to where you're going. So that takes us up to what to buy people for Christmas. The stocking stuffer. What better stocking stuffer can you get for somebody than a ticket to our plant-based nutrition conference March 28th? What better gift can you give to your spouse if you want them to become plant-based than to take them to Port Charlotte, Florida, Punta Gorda, Florida? We're all here together for the week of March 22nd through 28th for an immersion week with us. We'll get people exercising, moving, improve mobility, plant-based cooking. People will be directly involved. There'll be multiple daily lectures on plant-based nutrition and education. Great food, great socialization with other people, good positive reinforcement. And then the week, the immersion week will culminate in our conference on Saturday, March 28th, where we have plant-based breakfast and lunch, speakers, cooking demonstrations, question and answer. So it's a great present to give somebody you love that you want to be healthy. It's a great vacation to bring people on. Punta Gorda is a great place in March. We have sunny, bright blue skies, lots of things to do. So we look forward to meeting. Get your tickets now. Hop on over to Amazon and get our cookbook. If you haven't got that, that will help you get through the holidays. We have our famous stuffed shells in there that we make on Christmas Eve. Again, I have my salt rising bread of my grandmother's that's in there that we use for our stuffing balls. We have desserts that are healthy, salads that are beautiful to put on your table, and there's the white pizza sauce. Is an artichoke mushroom based sauce it's an artichoke and basil and garlic based white sauce that can be used to stuff mushrooms as an hors d'oeuvre. So a lot of these recipes can be used. We have stuffed tomatoes with hummus. So great hors d'oeuvres, great entrees to line your table for holiday entertaining or to take with you to potlucks. Going to be great. So I'm headed out to California to do the International Marathon this next weekend, and then I will give you a race report. And we have another exciting, a lot of excitement coming to the practice. We're going to have some microgreen Milo's coming down to the practice to speak to my members, and so there'll be lots of great things to talk about in the upcoming weeks. I hope you stick with us. Keep exercising, keep moving your body, keep setting goals. Keep eating colorful, plant-strong meals. Talk to you next week.